Hey guys, what's up? It's Fern. I hope that you are doing so well. Thank you for joining me for another Planty video. So today's video is going to be all about wet sticks. I'm going to give you a little tour slash updates on how my plants that I've grown from wet sticks are doing. I also am going to include a couple of alocasia that I grew from corm because kind of similar-ish concept. So this video is actually supposed to be part of my Halloween Planty video series because one of you suggested that I do a video on like zombie plants or plants that I've brought back from the brink of death. And it doesn't get much more like coming back from the dead than growing a plant from a wet stick. That is where the inspo from this video came from. I'm just not going to give it all of the Halloween branding because I want this video to have a bit of a longer shelf life for people to refer to. So yeah, either way, I hope that you enjoy this video. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you like it. Also, if you are new here and you enjoy houseplants, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and you will be notified of all my new content. Also, actually, did want to say that I am going to be doing more of a random upload schedule now. I'm just trying to, I don't know, I'm just trying to give myself a little bit more flexibility. I might be sticking with the Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I might be uploading any random day. So if you could do me a huge favor and hit the notification bell, that would really help me out. Plus you will be notified whenever I upload. Okay, so I'm gonna start off by updating you on how all of the plants that I've grown from wet sticks or corms are doing. And then I'm going to give you guys some tips and kind of explain what process I do to grow my plants from wet sticks. So yeah, let's just hop into the first part where I show you all of the plants. Okay, so this is the first one that I am going to show you. This is my philodendron Florida Ghost. Yeah, so this I grew from a wet stick. I did have a plant of this. I ended up chopping it up, sold the rest, kept this one, mostly because it was just a little bit more special to me since I had grown it just from a tiny, actually this one's not so tiny, this one's from a bit of a chunk, but just because I had grown it from a stick, I just get more attached to my babies that I grow from essentially nothing. So this is what she is looking like. As you can see, she has 3 leaves. I believe this is the wait, yes, this is the oldest one. Is it focused? Okay, there we go. Okay, so I believe this is the oldest one, and then came this one, and then as you can probably tell, this is the newest one right here. It did come out quite cream and now it is fading to green. So this is actually perfect like in terms of Florida Ghost variegation for me. I have had trouble in the past with them either being too green or coming out super white and then staying white and not fading back to green. So this one came out like pretty light and now it is transitioning to green. So I'm super happy with this plant. It is living in pond. I'm not really sure how I'm feeling about pond, to be honest with you guys. I should make an update on that as well. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, this plant is doing fine, so I'm just going to leave it for now. But yeah, it's doing great. And this is about, how old is this? I'm going to say that this is about 4 to 5 months old. Next, I'm going to show you my iconic Monstera Peru. Okay, so if you've been on my channel for a while, then you might remember that I tried to grow this from a wet stick for about a year, and I kept having to chop it down because it kept rotting. And then finally, it pushed out a leaf, this little leaf right here, and you know, established itself a little bit, pushed out another leaf, and we actually have a third one on the way. So this is turning into a full-blown little plant, and yeah, I'm just so happy about it. I honestly cannot believe that this thing survived. Like, I was so sure that I was just not gonna have a Monstera Peru anymore. But here we are. It's doing really well, lives in my IKEA greenhouse cabinet. I find that these can be really prone to root rot. I've heard some other people agree with me on that, so yeah, I don't know, that's just been my experience, but really happy that I was able to grow this back from a wet stick. Important plant lesson that I've learned is to never throw away your plants. Like, even if you think it's dead, just hang on to it a little while longer because you might be able to bring it back. So this one is probably my wet stick plant that I am the most proud of, just because this is the only Hoya that I have ever grown from a wet stick successfully. and this is my Hoya fungi. So this came, I think it had maybe a leaf or two, but it was in shipping for 2 weeks. The leaves completely died off, and I was just left with this stick. You can see on the back there. So I put this into a Tupperware, like one of the Tupperware that really like seals so that it's leak proof. I put it in that type of Tupperware on a bed of sphagnum moss under a grow light, and it took like a couple of months, but it shot out a leaf. It shot out one of those tiny leaves. See that tiny leaf there? Yes, it shot that guy out. And I was so shocked that this plant was giving me a leaf. From what I've heard, it can be more difficult to grow Hoya back from a wet stick, a lot harder than something like a philodendron or monstera. So yeah, I was very surprised, and this is where we are today. It is still in sphagnum moss. It's been just over a year, and honestly this is ready to be potted up. It has really good roots, and I probably will be potting this up soon. So yeah, I'm just so happy. Hoya fungi is actually a really gorgeous Hoya, so I'm so happy to have this one and to grow it out. Okay, next, I can't believe how big this one is. I'm not going to talk about this a whole lot because I did just, why don't I just take this out for the sake of this video. I'm not going to talk about this one a whole lot because I have shown this recently. This was in my last video. This is my philodendron tortum, as you can see. I cannot believe the size of this plant because I just grew this from a wet stick. Okay, so I got this plant as an early birthday gift, so I think I got it around May, and then it promptly rotted on me. Like I would say within the first month it rotted on me, and then I decided to chop it up like a month later. So 2 months. Yeah, so again, this plant is only like 4 months old maybe, like from the beginning of when I started rooting it as a wet stick to where we are now. So honestly, like that is a pretty impressive plant for that time span. Okay, and now for the alocasia. So this is my alocasia black velvet. We have had our struggles, you guys. We have. And as you can see, she's letting go of one of her leaves, so we're gonna be back in the 1 leaf club. I don't know what it is. We cannot get past the 2 leaf club. So we are, yeah, we're going back. Anyways, besides that, she's healthy and she's doing really well. I recently repotted her. Maybe that's why she's unhappy. I don't know. But I grew this back. This is the first alocasia ever, actually, that I grew from the corm. So that was very exciting. One of my plant friends walked me through the process, and it worked. And I grew this baby from it. And it was such a cool and rewarding experience. I actually have some alocasia corms right now that I'm trying to root, so maybe I'll make a video about that as well. But this is what she looks like today. One of my favorite alocasia, honestly. I can't wait until, you know, she decides to give me more than 1 or 2 leaves. Okay, and then the last one that I have to show you is this little cutie right here. So this is my most recent, I guess, plant that, well, that's not true. Actually, yeah, it might be true. So this is my most recent little alocasia baby, and this is a alocasia cuprea. So this is actually a plant that I got from an import that was stuck in transit and showed up, you know, with the leaves dead, was able to save the corm, and this is where I am today. This is actually only a couple of months old. This one like took off so quickly. I was really shocked to see it put out a leaf so soon because my alocasia black velvet took like a few months to even give me a leaf. So this one, it only took about a month of being in this little sphagnum container to actually shoot out a leaf. And there's another one that's going to be on the way, if you can see in there. So that's very exciting. I just cannot wait to see this just get a little bit more bigger and more mature because I've never had an alocasia cuprea before. Of course, I've seen them a lot, so it's just gonna be so cool to grow one for myself. So really excited about that. Okay, so as a transition to the second part of the video where I'm going to tell you how I grow my wet sticks and give you some tips and how I care for them, I'm gonna show you one of my propagation boxes because that's typically how I grow most of my wet sticks. And I do have some that have recently sprouted leaves in here, so I will show you those. Okay, so this is my perlite propagation box, and I'm going to show you these two in the back. This is, well, you know what? Half the fun of growing wet sticks in this way, where you just like toss them in a prop box, is that there's so many wet sticks in here that I don't even know what is what. So when something sprouts, I kind of like have to guess what it is because the leaves are obviously, you know, really young. But I have a couple right here that have recently come up within the past month, and I think that this is, well, the stem makes me think that it's Philodendron Burl Marx variegata, but I don't see any variegation on it. However, that one can lose its variegation really easily, so it might be that plant, but a green leaf. I'm trying to think of what else I have in here that it could be, but there is a little bit of variegation on the stem, so it makes me think that that's Philodendron Burl Marx variegata. And then this, my best guess is that this guy right here is Philodendron mexicanum, because I know that there's some Philodendron mexicanum in here, and I can't think of what else this would be. So I think that might be a very young Philodendron mexicanum. Okay, so the process of actually growing from wet stick is really easy in my opinion. It's honestly like a set and forget thing, especially if you're using something like a perlite propagation box or a sphagnum moss propagation box. I'm sure that there's so many ways to grow plants from wet sticks, but this is just how I do it. It's really easy, and I have a pretty high success rate. I would say like a 90% or even higher success rate. Your wet stick, it has to have a node, or else it's not gonna have anywhere to shoot roots out from. You're not gonna get a plant. So as long as you have a node cutting, it can either be from a chopped up vine. Sometimes I've even chopped up like full plants and just removed the leaves to make it a wet stick. I've done that for a couple of reasons. Sometimes the leaves are just really damaged, or I want to start over for some reason, but regardless, you need a little cutting with at least one node. Now, sometimes you will see the growth point, like where the new growth is going to come from on the wet stick, and sometimes you don't. If I see that, then I will put that part facing up. I don't want to put it like face down into the growing medium, so I usually will put that face up. If I can't see it, it doesn't matter. Roots will shoot out, and then you'll kind of be able to figure out how to orient the stick over time. So don't worry too much about how you lay it down in your propagation box, because from my experience, it's not really a big deal. If once it starts growing, you can just flip it whichever way you want it to be. So that's basically all you have to do for a long time, because it takes a while for these to grow. So you throw these sticks into a propagation box. That's the method that I'm going to use, either a propagation box or a Tupperware. Like these, I use these takeout containers with a lid. You just want something that is going to ideally keep the humidity up. Heat is something that helps as well. I know some people use heat mats under their propagation boxes, which I'm sure works great and probably does accelerate the root growth. I personally am just like so paranoid to have a heat mat running in my house. I don't know, I just like worry about fires and stuff. So I don't use a heat mat. I do notice that the growth in my propagation boxes really slows down in the winter because it is cooler. So you might want to just think about where you're putting the box. You don't want it to be somewhere really cold. And also, as for light, I tend to keep mine under a grow light. I've definitely gotten the best results that way. I'm sure that you could put it somewhere in your house where it gets natural light, but I don't know. I've seen a lot of people have propagation boxes where it doesn't really look like they're getting much light at all, and I don't know. If that works for people, then that's great, but I've never really done that. I've always just kind of had somewhat decent light shining onto it. You want to keep the medium lightly moist. So with propagation boxes, it's honestly like just so low maintenance. I probably pour water into that perlite box like once every 2 or 3 months, and that's it. You can see from the condensation and just from like, it's see-through, so you can see how much water is in there, but you want to keep it lightly moist. Don't let it dry out. You can either pour water into perlite propagation boxes or you can mist it. I tend to pour water in, but yeah. I do have a whole video on propagation boxes too if you're interested, so I will link that if you want more information. I'm not gonna like delve in anymore on that in this video. Okay, so once your wet stick gives you a little leaf, then you know that you are doing good. Yay, your plant is growing. It's so just rewarding to see that first little leaf pop out. So the first leaf is usually really small, and I tend to leave my wet sticks in the propagation bin until I get a second leaf that's a little bit bigger. I just feel more comfortable that way. Sometimes I've even, like this, where is it? My philodendron tortum, it gave me these three leaves, 1, 2, 3, before I even took it out of the box. So this pretty much was a full-blown plant by the time I even potted it up. But I would say, you know, this is just obviously my opinion, but I would say wait until you have 2 leaves, and then you're probably going to be pretty safe to take it out and pot it up, as long as it has, you know, pretty good roots on it as well. And then you have a little baby plant. Then you can just care for it as you would any propagation or any young plant. Like, there's nothing really special after that. I hope I'm not missing anything, and I hope that that helps you guys out a little bit if you are curious about growing plants from wet stick or from node cutting. If you do have any questions, leave them down below. I would love to try to answer them for you, or I'm sure some other lovely person hanging out in the comment section would be able to help you out with your question as well. Okay, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!